This episode is brought to you by CarterComics.com. It's your one-stop shop for all your comic needs, whether it be graded or raw. Carter Comics has got it all. All you gotta do is go to CarterComics.com, fill your card up with all their amazing comics. Use the discount code FREAKNET, FREAKNET. Save you 10% at checkout. Not only on their website, but also at their eBay account. And the link to eBay can be found on their homepage at CarterComics.com. Again, CarterComics.com is your one-stop shop for all comic needs.
What's up, everybody? I am Travis,
and I'm Cartoon Joe.
And welcome back to another episode of this freaking show. It is the weekly podcast with a little bit of something and a whole lot of nothing. And Joe, I guess the TikTok panic is already over.
Yeah, almost before it began.
I was really excited. Like when I went into Grand Theft Auto 5M, flew into the city, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, they canceled TikTok! They canceled TikTok!" I'm like, "What?" And I go on there. I was like, "Sorry, this, blah 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 ban. Don't worry, this, that, the other thing." I'm like, "Oh no, sucks. I guess it's just Instagram, whatever." And I was like, you know what? At least it gives me and Joe something to talk about on the podcast, and it's already over. So, yeah. What I also like is like, so when I clicked onto the app after it ended, it didn't just open up and start right off and say, "Oh, here's TikTok." It says, "And we're back." Then you got to press OK to just go back to fucking normal.
You got to acknowledge that it's okay.
Yeah, it's like everything's okay, guys. Like, oh, thanks, because for those 16 hours, I didn't know what anyone was gonna do. But so we don't have to worry about talking about that. I do know something you do want. Actually, I know of a couple things you do want to talk about. And there's one thing I want to talk about. So I figure we'll go back and forth. So let's start with one. What is one of the things you want to talk about here on this episode of this freaking show?
This one is really important to me because it is. I want to make sure people know about it so that it doesn't happen to them. This year, these last 3 weeks are the second worst start to a year that I think I've ever had in my life. Started the first 2 weeks of the year with COVID. Finally got back on my feet. Got scammed. Now, here's the thing about scams is I'm familiar with a lot of them. I know, for the most part, how not to get scammed. Yeah. You don't click on links in your email. If somebody calls you and tells you to go buy, Visa
Target
credit cards or whatever, don't do that.
Go to Target and buy $5,000 in gift cards.
Right. If somebody is in jail and needs bond, they'll call you, not the court system. But anyway, at the end of last year, I got in the mail a jury notice that I never followed up on. Yeah. And with COVID and everything, I never followed up on it. And at a certain point, I started Googling, like, what happens if you don't ever call? Because I think this is the first time I've ever gotten one of these. And so you Google it, and of course, the first thing that pops up is, if you wait too long, they'll arrest you. So I had this in my mind already. Let me start here and say that won't happen. Having talked to the jury office, the Chicago Police Department, a person who was a prosecutor for the state's attorney's office for 30 years, and a handful of other people, they do not care at all. They don't give a darn if you call or not. You should still do it, just, to be a good citizen or whatever.
Duty. Is it civic or civil? Civil duty.
Civic, yeah.
Is it civic or civil?
Civic.
One's a Honda, right?
It's the same. A Honda is a Civic. A Civic is a Honda, but it's also your duty.
Same word, different. Same word. Okay, so civic.
Yeah, you short-circuited me there. Yeah. But anyway, this is in my mind. I'm planning to do this. I haven't got around to it, and I think because of a Google search that I could go to jail. right? So I get a phone call from somebody who identifies themselves as an officer with the Cook County Sheriff's Office and gives me their badge number. So I'm primed to believe them. And they say that there are 2 warrants for my arrest for failure to appear to court and contempt of court for not appearing. And I'm already primed to believe that there could be a warrant out for me, right?
Because of this jury duty thing.
Because of this jury duty thing. And they basically, what they do is they walk you through a bunch of decision trees. The first one is, hey, there's this warrant out for your arrest. You could risk being arrested, or you can talk to my supervisor, and in about 25 minutes, we'll get everything cleared up. Sweet, I got 25 minutes to not be arrested. Let's talk to your supervisor. Talk to the supervisor. He wants a summary of the previous conversation, and then he's like, by the way, you have to, because the jury that you were a part of was actually a grand jury, you have to get yourself immediately into secrecy. You can't be around any other people. And also, we have to monitor this phone call the entire time. You can't hang up and talk to a lawyer. You can't do this. You can't do that. If you want these warrants to be inactivated, you have to stay on the line with me, and I have to make sure that you're not getting on Facebook and shit, because I can apparently monitor your data usage through this phone call. He also sounded like a cop. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'll isolate myself. Once I'm isolated, he says, okay, so here's the options. You can risk a criminal prosecution where you'll probably be fine, because this isn't a very serious thing. It's nonviolent. It's your first offense. The judge is probably not going to give a darn. But you're going to sit in jail for at least 72 hours and up to 10 days because the system's so backlogged. So the other option is a civic option, or civil. This one is civil. A civil option as opposed to criminal, where you're going to pay a fraction of what the fine would be if you were found guilty. It's going to act kind of like a bond, where you're going to get this money back at the end of the process. And then you're going to talk to the judge either today over Zoom or sometime next week in person at a hearing. And you're probably going to be cleared. You're going to get your money back, but you don't have to sit and wait in jail the entire time. Cool. I don't want to wait in jail the entire time. If I'm risking a $15,000 fine, I'm fine paying a $4,000 fine, especially if I'm going to get that $4,000 back at the end of this process, right?
Yeah.
By the way, it was $2,000 per offense and a $60 transaction fee per offense. So I'm like, okay, let's go this route. By the way, one of the ways that they convinced me that this was legit, they had my name, they had my home address, they had my birthday.
Yeah.
So that's balloons. Nice. That's going to be fun on the.
What the hell was that?
I don't know. I just made this sign and it came up with balloons.
Oh, okay.
Weird. Won't do it again.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's weird. So anyway, long story short, they first tried to get me to send the money via either Venmo, Zelle Pay, Apple Cash, or PayPal. Mm-hmm. And none of those worked. 3 out of the 4 of them said, hey, this is a scam, which, by the way, is your next red flag. If your bank says, hey, this is a scam, it's a scam. Don't go through with it.
I love how, like, on certain phone, I don't know if your phone does it or not, but mine, sometimes a call will come through and it'll say potential scam.
Yeah.
Mine
like, does that now.
Yeah. I'm like, good. So then I'll pick it up and say, what? Silence. I hang up and block the number. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Well, this was very clever. They actually they got a phone number that it was a 312 number and a 707 was the next number, which is actually, from what I understand after going through this whole process, that is a 312-700 number is a number that is used by the Cook County government.
Oh yeah, dude. I once got a phone call from a local Peatone number, a 708-258 number. Yeah. And at first I was like, okay. The only reason I knew it was a scam is that no business in Peatone has my fucking number. But
Yeah.
it's wild that that's what gets you, because like as I was recording JFW earlier tonight, my phone was going off and it said Willowbrook. I was like, there's no
Yeah.
reason Willowbrook would be calling my phone right now. I was like, clearly that's a scam call and everything. But yeah, no, it's insane. But I got a story to share with you as soon as you're done too. So
yeah. So anyway, none of the virtual options work. So the next thing is, okay, then you've got to go get cash out of your bank account, and you got to go to what he called federal bonding kiosks, and put the cash into the kiosk and send it digitally through the kiosk, almost like an ATM sort of thing. Now I'm familiar enough with how like Western Union, the Western Union scam used to be really common at Walgreens, where they had this kiosk that was like an ATM where you could come in and you could bank through it and you could send a wire transfer with cash. And at this point I am like, well, maybe this is a scam, but also like, if I'm going to get this money back, I'm already this far in the process, whatever. So I go and I withdraw the $4,000 from my bank account, and I go to, he sends me to one, and he doesn't have me put all the money in. I don't realize he's going to do it this way. He says, you need to put in $2,900 into this federal bonding kiosk, send it to this address, and then we'll move on from there. And so, these federal bonding kiosks, first of all, don't exist. It's not a real thing. If anybody ever says that to you, tell them to pound sand and hang up. The kiosks they sent me to was in a Shell gas station, and it's one of those coin flip Bitcoin currency machines.
Okay.
And he tells me you got to pick the USDC thing. USDC, he says, stands for U.S. District Court. I'm still not thinking clearly enough to fight back at this point, but I know deep down, and I'm telling you now, listener, USDC stands for US dollar coin. It is the fiat currency of crypto. It is the US government's crypto coin. It's backed by the government. It doesn't stand for US District Court. If anybody sends you to one of these machines, hang up on them. So I send the first one through. And then he says, okay, that's all the amount that you can send through here. You have to go to another one. And he tries to send me to 4 other ones. One of them was in it was on Monet Manhattan Road. And I'm like, I'm not driving an hour and 15 minutes with a warrant to another county to do this. And that's when that wasn't the first time, but that was the first time I was really like, fuck, I got scammed. Dang it, I swore. I was trying so hard not to. I was doing such a good job.
I said, damn it. Damn it's fine.
Oh, okay. I thought I said the F word.
No, you said, damn it. No, you're good.
Anyway, so that's the first time I went, I was thinking it in the back of my head, but everything seemed close enough to legit, because it's like when I was talking to my attorney friend, I said it seemed just complicated enough to be something that the Cook County government would do to try to make it easier for people. And she laughed and said, "You're not wrong." But luckily,
so were you on the phone still, like during this whole time?
I was on the phone the whole time. I was on the phone with this guy for like 3-4 hours.
So you got the phone call.
Yep.
They're giving you the spiel. You're trying to send it electronically. It's not working.
Yep.
So then you leave your house while still on the phone.
I was in a Starbucks when they called me, and I was sitting in my car for a lot of it.
Gotcha. So, and then you drove over to a kiosk, and they're telling you how to go through it while on the phone. And then once that's completed, they're telling you to send to the next week. Now, is this through, I don't know if you want to get personal enough, is this through a bank account like you're transferring, or a credit card like transferring?
It was a bank account. They were trying to get me to send it. Well, Venmo, Zelle, and Apple Cash all use your debit card or your bank account, your checking account.
Gotcha.
Actually, PayPal uses your checking account also.
Okay. So when during this phone call, where you're like scammed, like is the guy still on the phone when you're like scammed? Like,
yeah. So I'm thinking in the back of my head the whole time, is this a scam or not? But I think the first time that I was like, yeah, I got scammed was after I
send you to Will County.
Yeah, when I first sent, well, it was after I sent the first portion of money by putting cash into the Bitcoin machine.
Yeah,
I went because like if it were legitimate, I would have been able to send both things from the same kiosk. It makes absolutely no sense that I would have to go to a second kiosk.
Absolutely.
And what's that?
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. Yeah. It's like the whole like go to Target and buy like 10 gift cards with $500 a piece on them, like stuff like that. Like if this is truly one of these bonding things, there's no. I mean, you got bonds that are 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, stuff like that. It's like
also,
it makes no sense. Yeah.
Also, I didn't get a receipt, right? Like I should have gotten a receipt for that first transaction, and they didn't send one. They didn't print one out. Like the machine didn't print one out. Anything. I took pictures of it. I documented all of this the whole way through, by the way. So I was taking notes the entire time. Every account they tried to have me send it to with Venmo or whatever, they gave me either a username or a phone number or an email address. I wrote all that shit down. I kept track of all of their names of the supposed people. And the people they had a really special, I can't remember the word for it, but it was like financial officer or bond agent or something like that. It made it sound legit for all these numbers numbers and usernames I was supposed to send things to. And everything was, I got to talk to the judge and make sure this is cool. Or I got to talk to the judge and get a new number to send things to you because we've timed out on this one or whatever. So there's this constant sense of urgency that keeps you from stopping and thinking clearly.
Yeah. Because that's what they do to the elderly.
Yeah.
And you can only imagine like what they're going through.
Absolutely.
It's like, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, but luckily, so the next two kiosks won't take $100 bills, and that's of course all I've got them in. And he's like, "Oh, I thought you would have gotten it all in 20s." And I'm like, "Why would I get it all? If I'm carrying $4,000 in cash on me, why am I carrying it in all 20s? That's insane. Especially since I got to put them in one at a time into these Bitcoin machines."
Oh, wait,
absurd.
So you had to go withdraw the cash?
I had to go withdraw the cash. And he was like, "So what you got to do is you can't talk to the teller more than to just say, like, if she asks, you're just paying bills. Because we got to maintain this veil of secrecy because it's a grand jury. And if anything gets out, it could harm the victim. Right. And I don't want to harm the victim.
They gave you the name of the victim?
No, they just, because I don't know anything other than it's a grand jury. Because I missed the court date where I would have found that out, right? In this scenario that they pitched to me. So I went and I withdrew the cash. I put $2,900 into one. None of the other machines would take $100 bills. And finally, on the last one, I luckily was next to another branch of my bank, and I had previously told them, "Hey, my phone's about to die." And so I just turned my phone onto airplane mode, went to the bank, closed my checking account, closed my debit card. Spent the rest of the day canceling all my other Chase cards, freezing my credit on Experian and TransUnion and whatever the last one is.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about, but okay, yeah.
Yeah. And so and then after that I called my local alderman's office to let them know that this is a thing that's happening. They told me to write them up a report and send it to them. So I did that. And then I took the same report over to my local police department and filed a police report. And long story short, that's $2,900 I'll never see again. There's a chance. So the PayPal one right now, PayPal says that money went through. So I might be out about $7,000. Even though the transactions didn't go through initially, PayPal decided it wasn't fraudulent, even though I told them it was. Yeah. So now I've got to call PayPal tomorrow. Of course it's a holiday weekend, and so I can't follow up and call anybody until tomorrow. So I've just been sitting in limbo with my bank account overdrawn, which is cool. Really love that for me, going into tax season, which is always enormously burdensome, for me and my family. So long story short, big beats and lessons. Unfortunately, if you don't recognize a number, don't answer your phone. Let it go to voicemail. If it's important, they'll leave one. You can call them back.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like, and you're right. Like when you say like they're getting more detailed and sneaky about things. Yep. So when I don't know if I ever told Corey about when I got scammed. It's not as bad as yours, but so when I was, I think I was like maybe 19, 20 years old. Didn't know, but my mom's email got hacked. She didn't even know. But I got an email sent to me from her talking about, it was around Christmas time, and it's like usually Christmas time, that time, like there's like no money. But I got an email that popped up from my mom, and it talked about secret shoppers. And what it is like, you sign up for the secret shopper thing, you give them your information, and what they do is they'll mail you a check. You go to a Western Union, you cash the check, you send X amount of dollars to somebody else. So I think it was like $900. Or no, you had to take $900, you had to go to the bank and cash the check. So I had to go to my bank, cash a $900 check. Yeah. I had to take $600 of that, go to a Western Union, send it to an address, and then take your $300, buy something with it.
Yep.
And then write a review. That's what it was. And I could buy whatever I want, spend as much as I want. The rest of it I keep.
Yeah.
So I go and I buy something. I write a review. I respond to the email like this is what I'm reviewing on. Blah 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 blah. Send it off. Here's the Western Union. Blah blah. Tracking number. All this stuff.
Yeah.
So they say awesome. We appreciate blah blah. We'll be in touch with you with the next round of Secret Shopper. Which like 5 days later, they tell me again. It's like, hey, we're gonna send you a check. This time it's gonna be for $1,800. Cash that check. Send 900 of it to this address. The other 900, again, buy whatever you want, but make sure you buy something at X amount of dollar value. Keep the remainder. Write a review. Well, before that check showed up, I got a call from my bank.
Yeah.
Tell me that the check I brought in was fraudulent. And I was like, what do you mean? It's like the check you brought in, it was a fraudulent check. And I was like, yeah. Okay, like I got it sent from this company that does secret shop, blah blah blah. And they're like, Travis, that's not a real company. Like it's a scam. And I was like, what the hell? So I called my mom up, and my mom had no idea what the hell I was talking about. I'm like, but you sent me this email. She's like, I didn't send you an email. Like I actually did not send you an email. So we go to the bank. So I go to the bank. My mom ends up going to the bank with me because she knows I'm pissed about this. Like I mean, I was more upset, shaking. I just brought a fraudulent check to a federal business. So
when I went into the bank, I was shaking. I had to there were a couple times I crouched down because I needed to get in the fetal position. I had to lay down, but just crouching, I gotta protect myself because I feel like I'm that vulnerable right now.
Yeah, I do. I was in such it was like one of those things I was, because the thing is like in my mind I'm like, okay, so not only did I bring a fraudulent check into the bank, which makes it look like I'm, because in my mind at this moment it's like the bank thinks I tried to scam them out $900.
Yeah,
that's my thing. And luckily, thank God, the bank I worked with is like a small town bank. They know my mom, they know all of us, and I've had the same bank account since I was 9 years old. They know, and they told us like, Travis, if I was working when you brought this in, I would have told you right out. And I am really sorry that the person who was helping you didn't know. And I was like, listen, this is 100% on me. I just don't know what to do about this. And they're like, unfortunately, you're gonna have to repay the money. Now you're telling a 19-year-old who doesn't really have a job that he owes you $900. And it's like crap. And luckily my mom was willing to pay the $900. I had to pay her back with my tax return and all this other stuff. But then that $1,800 check finally showed up. And so mom, this is from the people and everything. So we went up to the police station. I brought them the check and said, listen, this is what happened, blah, 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 and all this other stuff. And small town banks, or small town police departments, they can't really do much. They're like this is probably more of a federal thing if you want to pursue it. But I'm going to be honest with you, for $900, they're probably not going to look at it.
Right.
If this was way more money and stuff like that, they'll probably, but for $900, they're probably going to take down the information. They're probably just going to be done with it. And I was like, that sucks.
Yep.
And ever since then, it's just now I just got to be fun, cautious, everything. And every once in a while, those secret shopper things still they popped up for a few years. I haven't got one in a while. I think they kind of got over that shit. But
yeah,
they got over that stuff. But it's just wild to think that it got a 19-year-old. It got a 34-year-old.
Yep.
These 70, 80-year-old people have no idea what's going on. I've heard of scams where they're able to use AI to mimic like a grandson's voice.
That's one of the things I wonder about. And like, I was on the phone so long and I was talking with the guy for so long, like, how much of my voice did they steal? Are they going to call my grandma's now with my voice? Are they going to call, Maddie got a call from the same phone number a couple of hours after I did.
Yeah.
What if they called my wife with my voice? That's freaks me out.
So I mean, it was wild because like when you mentioned the Western Union thing, I was like, oh crap, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
The one thing that I was told, I mean, it doesn't really, like I said, like the way I got scammed doesn't really happen that much. Now it's all electronical, but the way the bank told me. So for anyone who ever gets an actual physical check sent to you, if those even exist anymore in the scam world. What the bank told me was if you ever get something like that you're never unsure of, bring it into the bank, say that you want to deposit this and hold the money for 4 days. Because it takes about 3 to 4 days to verify the funds of a check.
Yeah.
And after 3 or 4 days, they'll be able to tell you if it's real or not.
Right.
I was told, like, when it comes to, like, phone calls and stuff like that, like, I think, for example, I forgot what it was. I think it was, like, there's these videos on Facebook where people talk, like, where people actually get scammers. Like, their whole page is based on messing with scammers, pinpointing their exact locations.
Yeah, I love that youth pastor Ryan guy does that.
Okay, yeah. So, like, and they always like give you like a little bit of a hint or a little bit like like, hey, a little bit of advice at the end of the videos. And one of them was like, if you ever get like kind of like a one where you get where people say like, if you don't pay this, you're gonna get arrested. If you don't pay this, that, the other thing, and everything. They said the best thing for you to do, turn yourself in and see what's real. Tell them that you're gonna go to the court. Tell them you're gonna go to the police department. Tell them, like, if they sit there and tell you that your local police department has a warrant out for your arrest, go to the police department and say, I was told this. Is this true and everything? And they'll be able to tell you. And then you go from there. Or you go to the court. And they say, don't go to the court. Don't go to the police. Don't tell them this. More likely it's a scam.
I was just going to say that. Yep.
Yeah.
Also, if you've never gotten a jury notice, or even if you have gotten one and you were wondering, the Chicago Police Department, the jury office, and a state's attorney for the last 30 years all are in agreement. There are actual serious crimes to be prosecuted. If they're going to, first of all, they're not going to call you. They'll send something in the mail if something matters. It'll be certified mail so that they know you got it. And yeah, they don't care. They don't care. There are so many people and so many backups and so many alternates, especially if you're in a place like Cook County, where there's so many people. Like, they don't care. They don't care. Don't worry about it. Hang up on them. Whatever. What was the other? There was one other thing. Go ahead while I think about it.
Oh yeah, it's like if you ever wonder, like, because like they say it's like, hey, if you don't show up for jury duty, blah blah. It's like think about how many times you've actually been summoned for jury duty. Like, I've been summoned once in my entire life, and that was 11 years ago.
Yeah, like this was my first at bat.
Yeah, so it's like they're never gonna run out of people to summon to jury duty,
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, not me, I didn't do it, but 9 times out of 10, it gets lost in the mail because they're still sending it through mail.
And not certified mail.
Not certified. It's just sent out. So if you sit there and tell them, like, I don't get it, they're going to believe you. Or they'll take it as, like, yeah, I guess not, and whatever. Like, oh, yeah, you're the 50th person today that didn't receive this summons. It happens. So, what would you say?
Just one of the parts of it that allowed me to be tricked is that I've done, like, the pre-trial diversion thing for a speeding ticket. Right, where you get a speeding ticket, you call the number, you say you paid like $200, $250, and they say, okay, it's off your record. You got no points on your record. As long as you don't reoffend for 6 months, this is gone for good. You never have to worry about it. So I assumed it was similar to that, right? I just, in my head, the best lies are the ones that they get you to tell yourself. Because it's a lot easier for you to lie to you than for them to lie to you.
Yeah.
here's the thing about a pretrial diversion is you have to call in to do that. They will not call you. Just like they don't have time to worry about whether or not you called in for jury duty, they also do not have time to call you to offer a pretrial diversion. They're just going to come arrest you. So, yeah.
Same thing with taxes.
Yep.
You know, stuff like that. And you're never going to get a phone call from the IRS.
Yep.
You know, they're never going to take you. And that's another thing too. A lot of these places, they don't take payments over the phone.
Yeah.
They do.
That's
not.
another one I didn't even realize. Yes. Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. They will not take payment over the phone. They're not going to ask you to, you know, get gift cards and not, you know, none of that stuff. You know, it's just, and a lot of times, like when I get calls from things, whether it's real or not, if I ever get a call from someone that says, "Hey, you owe us this. Hey, you owe us that," I just tell them, like, "Okay, cool." Like sometimes, like a bank, or not a bank. I'm sorry, credit card. Like the first thing on scam credit cards, like, "Hi, this is your Verizon MasterCard Discover card.
Mm-hmm.
Which one are you? This is your primary credit card company calling for it." Like, stuff like that.
Yep.
But like once in a while, like I'll get a call saying like you know, like I missed a payment on my credit card. Now I haven't in a while because I have multiple credit cards. They're all paid off except for one I bought tires on.
Yeah.
But if I ever get a call from a credit card, even if it's a legit call from a credit card company, especially back in the day, that said it looked like you missed your payment, I'm like, no problem. I'll go onto the app. I'll make the payment. It's like, well, I can take the payment over the phone. It's like, I'd rather do it through the app.
Yep.
I'd rather do it through the website. I'd rather log into what I know rather than giving you guys my account number for my checking or my debit card over the phone. No offense to you. I don't know you.
Yep.
I'd rather do it through the company thing. And you know what? I'd rather pay the $3 service fee that you're claiming to waive if it means that I'm going to be protecting my financial stability, you know, my accounts and everything. So,
yeah. So yeah, it just you reminded me of the like the vagueness thing. One of my congregants, someone tried to scam her by saying, "Oh, it's your grandkid," and she said, "Oh, great, which one? Come on, Grandma, you know which one." No, tell me which one it is, and they hang up on you.
Yeah, I remember one of the scams was like they would use like your grandchild's voice or something, saying that you're stuck in another country. Yeah. You're on a school trip, or you went on a vacation like Scotland or England or something like that, and you ran out of money, and you need them to wire you money over and stuff like that. And you know, usually like 90% of the time, it's like, I don't have a grandchild in England. I don't have but right. That one person is like, "Oh, is that where you're at?" Blah blah blah. And then all of a sudden, like they wire them like $500 because it's not even that. It's not even a round number like that. It's $2,900. It's $3,200. It's $2,700. It's 18. You know, it's just a random. I was like,
they pick something that seems really specific so that it feels more legit.
Yeah, I need you to send me $1,700 so I could get a room tonight and a ticket for a flight home tomorrow, or stuff like that. Or I'm stuck up in the city. I need you to send me, you know, $120 so I can get Uber home. Things like that. I mean, they do that. Yeah,
part of how they got me. I mean, the supervisor, both the original person I spoke to and the supposed supervisor both gave me their names, spelled them out. The first guy gave me a badge number. Like, I was totally bought in. I completely believed it. Not completely, but like I believed it enough because they gave me their names. They were very specific about everything. So these scams are getting a lot smarter. I will say, in my own defense, I had just started a new medicine and only slept about 20 minutes the night before. So I was particularly vulnerable to not thinking clearly.
You're out in public, you're around people.
Yeah, I was with a friend who was relying on me for a ride home. The poor guy had to try to take the bus and ended up walking the full mile and a half home from the Starbucks. Because I'd picked him up and brought him there, and then he missed the bus on the way back. You know, which was another thing that frazzled me. I'm like, now I got to worry about how this guy's going to get home because I can't talk to anybody because otherwise I'll get arrested. Just go get arrested.
Yeah.
Call their bluff.
That's what we keep saying. It's like turn yourself in and see what happens. Because
And sidebar, especially in Illinois where we don't have bail anymore.
Yeah.
As I was typing up the report, I was going, damn it. There was a red flag. There was a red flag. There was a red flag. So yeah, I've been feeling real stupid for a couple of days, but they just got very lucky and I got very unlucky. It was a really bad confluence of events for me and a really good day for them. So I'm hoping to make sure that they don't have many more good days by telling you all about it. But that's my story. That's it. That's all I got.
And that's something that people need to hear, because shit like that, stuff like that happens, guys. Hard. Stuff like that happens, man. And
right.
If we could take what we do here to use it as a warning to everyone else on what to expect out there, especially here in Chicago, in the Illinois area and stuff where we live and these things happen, it's just be vigilant, just be cautious. Check in on your elderly family members and make sure everything's okay, because who knows, one day they may say to you, like, oh, yeah, I just had IRS call me saying that my taxes weren't processed right, and I had to send them $1,300, and sometimes that stuff happens. So I've seen scams where people will call, tell you to go online, go to a website so they could take over your computer and kind of run you through a process, and all they are just trying to pull your information. So yeah, just be vigilant, because they're not going to go anywhere. They're going to be out there.
They're going to get worse.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and AI is definitely helping that. So, you had a question about something with Freakin Studio stuff, but before I do that, I want to tell everyone out there that McDonald's straws are the worst.
Okay, say more.
I don't know if anyone's been to McDonald's lately. But their straws they cheapified them. They're absolute garbage. Like you can sit there and tap the end of a straw and push it through the paper. Well, that doesn't exist anymore. And if you try to do that, you're just going to crack the straw. So to anyone out there who has purchased a soda from McDonald's within the last, let's say, 9 months and have received the brand new straws, we share the same pain because they're absolute horrible straws now. They're clear. They're not the white ones and stuff. I don't know if they're supposed to be more like eco-friendly or whatever it is, but they're just cheap. They break easy. So your best bet is just to lick the top of the paper and just bite it off and just hope that your straw stays in one place. Because even when I don't know what it was, but I had a really bad day one day and I went through McDonald's drive-thru, and as I avoid, buying McDonald's, I still like go and buy like a Coke Zero, grab some for thirst on the way home. So I go to the drive-thru, like, let me get a Coke Zero, blah blah. So as I'm driving, I'm trying to get the straw out of the wrapper, and it's not going. I'm trying to tap it, nothing. I'm trying to pull it off, like I'm just whatever I'm trying to do, and then so I just like, okay, I'll just lick the top of it, bite the paper off of it, pull the straw up, and I'm trying to pop it through the top of the lid. Now, I don't know if they took the structural integrity of the straw out of the straw and put it on the lid, but I could not get it through the top of the lid. And I'm trying to drive as I'm trying to stab this, this soda. I'm trying to feel like let's go. And I'm just getting more frustrated because it's not going in and everything. I'm just like, come on, let's go. And
they saved like a tenth of a penny on every straw by making it thinner.
Yeah. Well, I finally kind of looked down to try to see what I'm doing, and there's just like puddle of soda on top of the lid because it's like I'm pushing it down and the soda's coming out, but the lid's not. Dude, it was I
hate when that happens. That drives me nuts.
I had to pull the cup out of the thing, sip the top of it, and I'm sitting like driving with my knee. It's stupid. I mean, you guys don't do this. Driving with my knee while trying to put this like straw through the lid. I just had to give up. The straw I threw on the ground. I threw the lid on the cup on the ground, and I had to start drinking it. It was like, screw this, I'm done. Because I get no ice. You don't need ice. Ice is a scam. So
right.
Just if you're out there, you don't need to get ice. Just because if you get no ice, they still fill the cup all the way up. So get it without ice. If you keep a soda long enough for it to have ice, you got problems. Just get it without ice. You're welcome. But straws at McDonald's, they went downhill quick.
Word.
You asked me
That's
about the
no-
L.I.M,
Yes.
which is a cool way to wrap this up.
Yeah. So I sorry, I got distracted. I got a notification. I got a notification from Freaknet Studios today on Facebook that we were tagged in a post by L.I.M. And it seems as though we're in a feud, or they're in a feud with you. I don't know if I'm part of it, and I don't know. It has to do with the. It looked like there was some kind of big, sort of like multiverse get together thing last week, and they weren't invited or didn't show up or something. I don't know, and yeah, it seems like a train wreck or of some kind, and I'm just curious about it. I got to get my rubberneck on, as it were.
Yeah.
I appreciated that in the call out video, they still mentioned the sponsors of the show and things like that. And I thought
which is the right thing to do. It's bro. I just spoke about this on the JFW podcast,
Gotcha.
literally right before we recorded this. And if anyone knows how I am on the JFW podcast, you know how I swear a lot. So let me try doing this without cussing. This will be interesting. So first off, the video that I'm assuming you're referring to about us not inviting them onto the show and all this stuff. So the Power Hour, which is another Freaknet Studios podcast, invited the Fourth Mother Box and JFW onto the Power Hour because Fourth Mother Box and JFW were having some issues, and Steve tries to kumbaya everyone together the way he can. He fails, but he tries to do it. So during the whole intros and stuff, he's introducing Tom, who hosts the Fourth Mother Box. I happen to mention also Jedi Talk. So just to say, hey, listen, this you're saying this. He called it the Crisis and Infinite Podcast.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're going to mention the podcast that they're on, say, hey, so this is Tom from the Fourth Mother Box, also Jedi Talk. He introduced me, Travis C. from JFW, also this freaking show. You got the Power Hour, stuff like that. And nobody was there to represent the L.I.M, which is another podcast for Freaknet Studios. And they took that personally. Well, the thing is Pac-Man, who's on JFW, who's also on L.I.M, was supposed to be on that show. He didn't make it. So, also, wow, I don't know why I keep looking over here. So he's supposed to be on the podcast. He didn't show up. So their whole idea of the L.I.M not being invited, technically it was a podcast for Fourth Mother Box and JFW to kumbaya together. It had nothing to do with Jedi Talk, nothing to do with this freaking show, nothing to do with L.I.M. It had everything to do with a different podcast than me inviting me and another podcast on the show. L.I.M took it as a personal shot because for some reason they feel the need to attack me and the JFW. Whatever. They tried to do it a few years ago. They failed miserably at it when I sat there and mocked them for who they were. Sure. They tried to come back, failed miserably, and then stopped. And I tried to give them an out. When they tried to do this stuff a couple weeks ago and tried to say things, I told the guys, let it go because you're going to end miserably. Because the thing is, when people see me, what I'm doing here, I'm a good guy. I'm a very nice guy. I'm a compassionate guy. There's a life to me that I like to share with the world out there. There's journeys that I go through, struggles I go through that I share with the world in hopes that if you have those same struggles, maybe we can help you, show you you're not alone.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there's a side of me, which comes out in JFW, that's very vindictive. That
react with fire.
Emoji. Yeah. Right. That if you push me enough, I'm going to react to what you're doing. And that's why I kept telling them, guys, do not do this. Because I don't want to embarrass you again. I've used other colorful language, but to sum it up, do not do this because you know what I will do. They didn't care. If you ever get a chance, they have a vlog that just came out on their Lovely Intoxicated YouTube channel. That in the last 5 minutes, they mock me and Turtle on JFW. It is comical. It's hilarious. It's the most entertaining thing they've ever put out ever, and it's only because it has to do with JFW. That's the only entertaining part of their entire content. It's amazing. They attack Turtle a lot. They attack Nubby a lot. And Nubby has done nothing but been a supporter and an advocate for L.I.M. since the creation of L.I.M. But they decided to attack him because he's part of JFW. So we went on to the show, and I said some things to them today. That show just got released tonight. We're recording Monday night, so it just got released tonight. So I don't know if they're going to heed what I say when I tell them to stop now, but they just have a pettiness to them to think that we didn't invite them onto the show. They believe that I'm doing to them what somebody else accused me of doing for the Power Hour, and I'm using them for content. I'm using them to grow my fan base. I'm using them to grow my views and all this other stuff. Which, if that's what you guys want to believe, that's fine. If you want to believe that the 66 or 68 subscribers to JFW is nothing compared to your 69 viewers on Love and Intoxicated Men, then fine. You guys could take that victory. But like I mentioned on JFW, my main focus for JFW is audio podcast. So with my 1,000+ subscribers on Podbean and my 1,000+ monthly subscriber or listeners on the podcast, that's what I care about. JFW's YouTube channel is there to hopefully add content to. It just doesn't happen, which I'm fine with because we got Freakin Studios YouTube channel that has the subscribers and the downloads and stuff like that. That's what we've been successful at, on top of this podcast over here. So to sum it up, that's kind of what it is. It's just them being mouthy, trying to, I don't know, they call it a war, which I think is kind of silly, because if I was to throw a snowball at you, Joe, and then you get hit in the shoulder and you're like, hey, and then I throw another snowball at you, and then you get hit in the chest, that's not a war. That's just me being annoying.
Yeah.
It's
also,
like,
if I start something and you finish it, that's not a war.
No, it's embarrassment. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Dude, and if I really wanted to, which I don't put a lot of effort into it because it's them, I could take the entire first war that we had, put it into a 20-minute video, and show you how poorly they were at trying to beat me the first time. Hell, they gave this one guy, at the time he was called the Gia Monster. Now he's called Smiley McGee, whatever. I call him Giggles. They said, hey man, you're going to run wave 3. Because they tried to come at me in waves, I guess. Like, let's send out the 1st battalion. Oh, they failed. Let's send out the 2nd. Oh, okay, not good. Here we go. Wave 3. So then Giggles gets out there and he starts, he's like, Travis T, welcome to wave 3. You think you can beat us? You can't beat us. We're unstoppable. We're united and we're coming from you. And then 2 of his buddies on his team mocked him for his video. And then 30 minutes later, he puts out another video. You know what? I'm shutting down wave 3. We need to come together and figure some things out. And then that was the end of it. It was over. Until I brought Pac-Man onto the podcast as a co-host for JFW, and we talked about it months later. And he's like, oh, yeah, back when we tied. And I'm like, oh, we didn't tie. I smacked you around, bro. I owned you. You guys tried and you failed. So they're trying to do it again. It's embarrassing, but you know what? It's like I told Nubby. If they want it, I'm not gonna. I mean,
is this like and I don't want you to like break kayfabe or whatever, but like, is this just are they just trying to stir the pot for clicks, or do they like genuinely have an animosity, or is it just like, they just maybe animosity is too strong. Maybe it's just, they just want a little win. They're like Scrappy Doo, in Scooby-Doo. Just let me at him.
The best way for me to describe it is I feel, and you'd have to ask them this.
Sure.
I know they watch, so this could be a question they could answer. If I had to look at it and give an answer to it, I'm going to say that they probably feel a little bit disrespected and not taken seriously. They do it as well. I said it on JFW. They refer to themselves as the redheaded stepchild of Freaknet Studios. Do you remember the last time we had a show on Freaknet Studios that referred to themselves as the redheaded stepchild of Freaknet Studios? And where are they now?
The sewer.
Yeah. The fact is, there's only one redheaded stepchild for Freaknet Studios, and that's my co-host on this show.
I was thinking the exact same thing when they said it.
But
I was like, I'm the redheaded stepchild.
Yeah. You don't take his gimmick. But dude, that's I told Nubby the exact same thing. It's like they went back 3 years ago and just ripped off what the other show said about us and ran with it. Because they're talking about how they're the redheaded stepchild, that they're just here to be mocked by Travis, that they're not shown respect, that they're not this, they're not that. And it's like you brought us on the Freaknet Studios just to mock us. You throw Carter Comics, in our face. I was like, I am so sorry that I invited you on to a network to try to collectively grow each other together while also giving you the opportunity for a paid sponsorship.
Yeah, I'm sorry I gave you a chance to make the easiest money you'll ever make.
Right? But somehow I'm the a-hole because when I was on Power Hour and we were talking about all these podcasts, and I said, well, the important ones are here because no one's here for L.I.M. Yes, I made that joke, but that's also because Pac-Man was supposed to be there and he didn't show.
Right.
So
I saw him comment like, "Oh, I was just in a closet in the bathroom or something."
Yeah. He's being held hostage by a 30-pound cat or whatever his.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So basically, he's the whiny child at the classroom who wasn't invited to the party and hates it. So, and it's a jealousy thing. That's all it is. And you know what? I said it's good on them from trying, but it's gonna be a fail. And then when eventually Dizzle J's gonna hear about this, and he's gonna have something to say about it. And dude, it's just unfortunate when they're children trying to play an adult's game. Because I don't play, and I told them flat out, like, listen, if you attack me, I'm gonna come back at you, and it's going to be way worse than what you guys could do. Because there's nothing that really affects me. Like, there's nothing they're going to say. Like, you look at everything we do on these podcasts and everything. Over here, I share a lot of personal stuff about my life. I'm not ashamed of anything. I'm not embarrassed of anything. It's like there's nothing you can say about me that's going to make me say, "Wow, you really hurt my feelings." There's nothing. So they have nothing to offer. But when they private message me stuff that bothers them, and that somehow gets out into the open, just remember that when you're over there calling me an a-hole and I'm a horrible person and I'm an egotistical monster that only cares about himself, as I open the doors of Freaknet Studios to 4 different podcasts in hopes that we could come together and grow with each other. But I'm an egotistical monster.
Yep. So. You're clearly just trying to run the whole show. Steal their podcasts, whatever.
That's what I was told, man. Like I sit on my throne of Freaknet Studios, acting like I'm the ruler of the world. I don't think I've ever said anything of that nature, but
pretty consistently the opposite.
Yeah, that's their grand illusion that I'm this egotistical, self-centered. Which the one thing they did say right about me was I do like to get credit where I feel I'm owed it. Yeah. Because I do feel like I'm owed. Like if I assist in something, if an idea of mine is utilized, I just want to, hey, great idea. Thanks, or hey, Travis, that was Travis' idea. But I think everyone likes, to be acknowledged for something.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't sit there and say like, oh, it's not fair. I didn't get credit for it. No, it's just like, oh yeah, that was one of my ideas. Right. And all I want is a, hey, good job. Hey, thank you. Hey, that's awesome. Whatever. And that's all it is. Just like when other people bring ideas to me, if they're utilized, hey, great idea, dude. Hey, that's awesome. Hey, good job. because that's the right thing to do. That's the respectful thing to do. You know, I don't want credit for stuff I didn't do. I just want the credit for the stuff that I did that people use and they enjoy it. You know, there's wrestling, not just SCW, but Rocket Pro Wrestling, and sometimes these places, you know, they just say, hey, you know, that's a great idea. I think we might use that, or hey, that's pretty cool. We should try that, or blah blah. You know, thanks, and that's it. It's not like I say, hey, you know, that was my idea. Hey, I did that. You know, once in a while, I'm like, I wonder where they got that idea from. Stuff like that, you know. But it's not like I say, hey, you better thank me in the middle of that ring during the show right now. No,
right.
Private message me, hey, you know, great idea. It's like, thanks, man, I appreciate it, and that's it.
Yep.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. They're gonna listen to, you know, this week's show, and we'll see. And as far as I told him, like, listen, say what you want about me, leave Nubby alone. He did nothing wrong. So.
Yep.
But
yeah, cool.
So,
good to know.
Yeah,
I was curious.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah, just tell Ryan not to worry. Daddy's got it. So.
Yep, will do.
When's Geekcast Live join the Freakin Studios?
I don't know.
I need another podcast to absorb my selfishness.
Yeah. Right.
Oh,
we got another
man.
show. We got another show to crash.
Yeah, I need another one. Oh, wait, because we also got to add your show that we're starting up this year, so I could claim that as my own as well.
Right, of course.
It's dibs. Call it dibs right now. Boom.
Yeah.
January 20th, dibs. Joe, what are you freaking thinking about?
What am I freaking thinking about? And I had an answer, but I don't remember what it is. You know, I'm after the last 3 weeks, the last 3 weeks have been really tough. You know, from going from COVID to like, finally I'm feeling better to now I've been scammed, and, you know, and it'll be tomorrow before I see just how badly scammed I was. But I'm still feeling on the whole pretty optimistic about the rest of the year.
Yeah.
You know, there's some things in the work with my church. You know, we just had another, we do these once a month. We bring in a folk singer, as like an outreach event, and also just to change things up a little. And, we try to get a speaker, like an outside speaker that's not even preaching necessarily, to come talk. And, one of the local food pantries came. And, when we were done with the service, the musician, the speaker, and I were talking about like, man, you got this great facility. You've got a really good brand for this particular topic and performance style. Like, I think we could probably put together at least an annual event that would you know, give people an excuse to go listen to some good music and to raise some money for the food pantry and the church. And you know, it's just so gratifying. You know, a lot of the job the last 5 years has felt like beating my head against the wall and then making incremental progress.
Well, okay, so remember like a few weeks back, you were talking about how like you had like an inspector come by. I think it was looking at like the windows or something in the basement. Like you had like an inspector come to the church for something. I think it was maybe sealing the basement or sealing something, the foundation.
Yeah, maybe that sounds right. Sounds familiar.
Yeah, it was like maybe like at the end of last year. Something like that. I thought you were gonna tell me you got scammed on that.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, no, thank God.
Yeah, like you gave the guy like a down payment and he never showed or something like that. Like I was like, when you said like, oh hey, you know, I got something to talk about Saturday, you know, I got scammed. I was like, oh dude, God, I can think like, I hope it's nothing to do with the church.
Yeah, nope, just my personal life.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's just gratifying that, like, you know, it's taken 5 years to start to see some changes, and they're happening. And it's really, you know, I walked into this year ready to potentially be putting my resignation in the summertime.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because things were not moving. And now, like, I don't know, I'm in a good place, and I think the church is in a good place, and, yeah, we'll see. So anyway, what are you freaking thinking about? Cut out again.
Hey, yeah. Right now it's like, I mean, I've had a lot of ambitions and goals and stuff I wanted to set for this year and kind of like that. And I fell off a little bit. I mentioned before we started recording that I tried to do like the Amazon grocery and stuff. And I tried to order zero sugar soda, and I accidentally they didn't have it, so they replaced it with regular soda. And because I'm an idiot, I don't pay attention, and it's one of the things where I think I fell off a little bit. I don't know. I guess we're gonna find out what the scale says on Wednesday, because I weigh myself every Wednesday. Since I started January 1st, I guess is day one technically. I think that was a Wednesday. I'm down 7 pounds so far this year. So we'll see if that goes up or not. I know I got a little bit lazy from this past weekend. I think I overindulged myself a little bit. So I got to really, if the number goes up, I know where my mistakes are, and I got to rectify those in work, get back on track with the whole meal prepping. So I do got, ground beef out. I'm going to try making like a kind of like a modified hamburger helper in my own way and stuff. Try to get back on track. So I feel really bloated. I think it has a lot to do with the sugar and stuff that I've been intaking over the past few days. So just really kind of focusing on that. Another thing I do kind of want to mention, it's not a big deal, I don't think, in the world. I mean, I think it should be a big deal, but to me it kind of was and everything. I was watching, and obviously today was Inauguration Day. I watched the inauguration of Trump and Vance into office and everything, and very similar to the Jimmy Carter funeral, to kind of see both sides kind of together. And I think it's the respect of the funeral, respect of tradition, that they kind of got along. But they did say that obviously because the inauguration was indoors, which was the first time it was indoors, I think, since Reagan's second term. Or it might have been the first term. It was one of Reagan's terms. That the Bidens and Trump spent a lot of time together, showing up at the White House, sitting down, getting drove over to the ceremony and everything like that. And it's one of the things where it's kind of cool to kind of see stuff like that. I thought it was a little bit disrespectful with the booing that happened to certain people and walking in. I don't think that's the kind of place for it. But it was just cool to kind of see them collectively be together in one room, and it just shows even though 3 months ago Trump and Harris went at it, 4 years ago Biden and Trump went at it, and 4 years before that Clinton and Trump went at it, and 4 years before that Obama was in it and Trump was dealing but collectively them actually in the same room, seeing Obama and Trump talking at Carter's funeral, seeing Trump and Biden talking at inauguration, it goes to show, I guess, you can really kind of puts things aside when it's for the betterment of the country. So it was just kind of nice to see that for the brief time that it was. And I never really watched the inauguration. I never really seen it from start to finish, and the ceremonies and traditions that they follow that have been put in place since 1799, and the fact that they're using the same Bible that Abraham Lincoln used, it's just a unique thing. So, but yeah. Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
Every week our listeners can catch Cartoon Joe here on this freaking show. But just catching it here isn't enough. Where can you go?
If you need more Cartoon Joe, you can find me over at the Geekcast Live podcast at violentpress.com. You can also find us on Facebook, iTunes, Blue Sky, and Twitter by searching Geekcast Live.
Nice. Guys, make sure you follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, just by searching This Freaking Show. Continue to listen to us wherever you pick up your podcast. You can watch the episodes over at the Freaking Studios YouTube channel if you choose to watch instead of listen. Wherever you're catching our podcast, make sure you do subscribe, hit the notification bell, or give us a rating and review, because it really does help the podcast out. So, guys, that's all I got. As always, I am Travis C.
And I'm Cartoon Joe.
And thank you for listening to another episode of This Freaking Show. I'm out.